Hello everybody, Andy, Glass Half Dead, the #1 kill team channel in the world unless you pay attention to objective facts. In this video I wanted to do a little bit of a guide to kill team before you get to the table. So I want to run down a little unboxing of what you can expect from whatever your latest kill team box is. I'm going to unbox that. Also wanted to let you know kind of some hobby things you want to buy and may want to upgrade. And then also a few kind of painting speed hacks that I have come across, how I do bases, how I very, very quickly paint things so that I can get things painted on the table quickly as possible. Okay, well let's get straight into the unbox, shall we? There we go. So you've just got your first box. I obviously have picked up Blades of Cain. Now every single team is available to purchase from GW, and let's see what you get. Obviously, you get plastic. This can be thrown away. There you go. We get your build instructions. Almost all of the teams will also have transfers. I don't use transfers, however, you can go and Google reams of information about how you use those properly. I can't tell you. You've got your build instructions. Most kill teams, you can just follow the build instructions all the way through from, point A to point B. However, I will point out, some kill teams have a few tricks in there. I just built some Corsair Void Scarred, and just as an example, if we look at the back here, the Fate Dealer and the Kernathi are both specialists, and you want them both in your kill team. However, the instructions don't tell you that, and don't tell you that you're actually going to have to convert one of your models, etc, etc. Luckily with the Blades of Cain specifically, and in fairness, most kill teams, you could just build everything exactly as it says. If you are wondering about a build guide for your specific team, obviously go and check out whoever has done a specific faction focus for that team specifically. However, I will say the general rule of thumb is build one of every specialist. Build the leader however you want, and then if you have models left over, build a warrior. If not, that's fine. Right, we then get some 25mm bases, some 28mm bases, and we get our plastic. We don't need to really pay too much attention to this specific kit. I'm going to go and build these now. Shall we show you how to build a model? No. However, I will tell you what you need to build a model. You're going to need clippers. You're going to need, they call it a hobby knife, I call it a scalpel, hobby knife, whatever. And you're going to need plastic glue. I use this because it has a brush, and I just prefer painting my glue on instead of dabbing it, I guess. I will say, if you're a long-time veteran, this craft knife is an aged veteran of the war, is about as blunt as my wit, frankly. And then these. Now this is a little bit of an interesting one actually. So I recently purchased these. These are called Steddle. You can see them there. These are my first kind of high quality clippers. They're not as expensive as something you've probably heard called God Hand. But these are really nice. And actually, if you're an experienced hobbyist and you've just been using like Army Painter, GW, whatever, treat yourself to these. These were mid-range. They're not the God Hand, which are like 45 quid on Amazon. These were like 20. Honestly, really nice. It also gives such a clean cut. Just the other day, I was building this guy, this little Black Templar dude, right? This arm had to be cut in 3 places to give it the rotation that it needed. I didn't need a hobby saw. I just used this, and it got such a nice clean cut that I just used my plastic glue to put it back together. Really clean cut at that kind of level of plastic that you have to cut through. So there you go. I don't know if this is the best brand at this price level, but I bought Steddle, S-T-E-D-L, just on Amazon. So go check them out, I guess, because this is really cool. Definitely worth it. And I still have my old clippers in case I need to cut through some metal or some really thick terrain sprues, and there you go. Oh, you know what? In my absolute excitement to get started on a hobby, I forgot to mention this card, which is super important because the only difference between these new kill team kits and the old kill team kits is this card. Now I'm actually a little bit excited because this is, despite me having done Hive Storm and Brutal and Cunning. This is the first one of the new kits I've opened up. So let me just quickly show you what this is. Oh, and also, sorry, you don't need to have this. All of these can be replaced with generic 20mm tokens that you would have if you have any of the token sheets from GW, from Kill Team, and you even get extras of them here. There you go. Keep that in mind. You do not need these token sheets. They're just nice to have. These are going to be, these 6 tokens are the only unique thing on this sheet, which are going to be related to your faction's equipment. There you go. Also, a quick note, why do we have these 28, 32, 25 and 40mm bases here? Because that's what they are. If we push one out, this is a 28mm base size, because I am on 28mm bases. There you go. That means that in the game, if I'm, for example, thinking, oh, I wonder if I move there, will you be able to have a shot on me? I now don't have to take extra models with me so that I have extra bases. I have a token. I can put the token where I want it on the map, and then we can measure using our line of sights, whatever, to say, oh yes, if you were there, I would have a shot on you, and that can very quickly help you figure out if you want to make that move or not. Okay, so I'm going to go build all of these models, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of basing techniques and how you can do something funky with your boxes if you want to do some flagstone cobble things, and then we're gonna spray things, and I'm also going to show you how you can very weirdly get kind of, you know, like, I mean, behind me here I have a whole Space Marine army painted like this, so it does work. But if you want to just get models on the table, I'm going to show you some really quick techniques, almost not using a brush. We're just going to look at spray paints, and we're going to look at the biggest brush you've got style dry brushing, and that's almost going to be your team done. Once you've gone ahead and clipped off all of your plastic, which I like to do, I clip it off and I then put it next to where it is on the build instructions. So I clip off an entire page at a time, and then I just go through. You look, we're all on our own hobby journeys, okay? You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but I do strongly recommend that you do what I'm showing you here, which is called cleaning mold lines. You can use, there are many tools for this. I just use my craft knife. What you're doing is you're looking at your little thing here. At the very least, you want to find the sprue gates, which you just clipped off, like that little bad boy there, and you just go ahead and you just ping it off like that, and like, I don't want to, like that. There you go. Right on this kneecap sort of thing. You can't see it here, but there is going to be a mold join that goes right down the center of that leg. Just take it off. There you go. It will make your final model infinitely cooler looking, but to each their own. Another quick note is once you finish your sprues, you want to keep something called a Bitz box or a Bitz bag. And my preferred way of doing this is to cut everything off the sprue, even if you're not going to use it. Okay, that gives you a nice big pile of bits, and then you're going to just go and buy some Ziploc bags, label it Striking Scorpion, whatever it may be, and go ahead and keep that all together. Some people like to do it kind of by piece, so they might put everything like left arm bag, right arm bag, head bag, or Imperium bag, Chaos bag, etc. I have generally found that when I'm doing conversions later down the line, then I know the piece I want. I don't generally want a left arm. I generally want, I know that particular piece comes from Striking Scorpions, but then when I go to my left arm bag, it's like, oh, I can't find it, forget it. Okay, so I'm going to do an urban base because I don't do this often and I want a little bit more practice, and the idea of Eldar kind of invading a human city sounds fun to me, as opposed to doing a more traditional kind of flowery grass or wraithbone star base. So I'm using this ground texture from Vallejo. This specifically is rough white pumice. I've used many other things. As long as you're doing this before you actually spray the model, it can be any color. I just happen to have this bad boy lying around. First thing I'm going to do is completely cover this base in this. Again, Vallejo does a really good range of these kind of textured things. I would thoroughly recommend picking some of them up. I usually use mud, which looks great and is just kind of instantly usable. But for this, because I know I'm going to colour it a a grey, so that it's kind of urban and city-like, I figure I'll just spray it all together, because something that I want to do is that there could be me done. I could wait for that to dry and then colour it grey and say I'm done, that is now rubble. And that's fine, that works for sure. However, I want to have a little bit extra to it, because I think one of the important things for urban terrain is rubble, like noticeable rubble. And so to do that, and again, you could just buy these bases. 3D printing is great at the moment. That's often how I do my bases, but I do like the idea of being able to be fully functional on my own with these. So what I have here is, you see these little bits here? This is just your cardboard box that the team was sold in, cut up into little irregular shaped squares. There you go. And I'm going to just place them a little bit randomly. I don't need to completely fill the base with them. Doesn't matter which way up they are. I just want a few of these, kind of make a little flagstone shape on my base. This is why we spray this after, because we need to spray these so that we can lock them in. I don't know what the actual best kind of amount to use is, but I don't know. I just put a few on. There you go. That'll do. So it's kind of like one half would have been a brick path, maybe. Something like that. I don't know. As I say, I'm kind of working on it a little bit myself. We then get some super glue. Now, normally you can stick your guys to your base using plastic glue. You don't need to buy separate glue for it. But because I'm using this pumice and these little bits of cardboard, that's the word. The pumice will harden around it, so that's good, but it still needs a little bit of extra support as we push it down. And we're just going to go like boom. Right, so going to go away and let that do its thing. And once that's dry, I will spray it. And I'm going to go do all of these bases like that, obviously, and spray it. And that will then be a relatively easy to handle urban rubble base. Okay, we're going to go spray. First things, you need your spray, which, by the way, just leave it on a radiator forever, because you need to heat these up before you actually spray them, assuming you live in a, cold AF country. And then I use Wraithbone because that gives me a nice spray. I could use white, I could use grey cert, anything that GW says is okay for contrast paint. And this is so old it doesn't mention that on the front. That's great. It'll still work just fine. Let's go outside. You should do this in a well-ventilated area. I personally never spray inside, but to each their own. And here's my little army, which you can't see. Which one did we pick? We picked this guy here. You see? Always shake it up as well. Sprayed. Leave it somewhere where it can dry, and then we will go to the next step. So one of my big kind of painting hacks is a very simple one, which is when you're painting your model, you want to start from the inside out. That's a common thing. That's not a hack. That's just how you paint the model, okay? So the reason I've gone with a Wraithbone spray is because I ultimately want to be able to apply a color to the whole of this model, which will then have the whole model basically painted in a single step. I really like bone-coloured armour. That's my thing. Don't know why, just do. And so the way I like to make them look that way is I put a Seraphim sepia wash. You can buy that from GW. You can also just use any sepia. I have bought a whole load of Vallejo sepia dipping formula. You can apply this just like a normal wash, which I will do now. I'm going to show you how you do it, because this is something that some people might want to see. But then also, more importantly, after I've applied this and you have seen how this looks, I'm going to show you my ultimate hack. You're going to see what this model looks like after I've painstakingly applied it all with a single brush to this model. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing, and then I'm going to do a different technique to apply this thing to about 50 models in about the same amount of time. And I'm going to show you how the end result looks compared to doing this with a single model compared to all of them. So here we go, bam, smash it on. So luckily I have decided that I want the entirety of this model to be coloured in Seraphim Sepia. I'm not holding back from anywhere, and so I'm not going to make you watch the whole of this, but you get the idea. You slap it on, you slappers. And you'll see what I'm doing here. This will take, 5, 10, 15 minutes to dry. And we're going to cut to how I'm going to do this exact same thing, but to 50 models all at the same time. And then we're going to cut back to the difference in quality that has. So what I have here is basically homemade Seraphim Sepia in a standard spray bottle. And let's see how that works. We take our identical models so that we can see what they're going to look like side by side. You see. Give it a little shake. Yeah, there you go, that'll do. And the reason you would do it that way is because now I'm going to do all of that and all of that and a load more inside too. Okay, and that brings us to our two models. This one here is the one that I applied with a brush. This one here is the one I just applied with a spray wash bottle. Again, you can use whatever you want to for that spray wash. I used the Vallejo dipping formula. That was actually the first time I used a dipping formula, and actually it had some unintended consequences. It's a very different formula. What I normally use is just this stuff here. It's, I'll show it to you, it's Daler Rowney acrylic. So this is, if you're ever searching for this, you want to search for artist acrylic. But just so you know, this costs cheaper than a GW paint. So although it's called an artist acrylics, you can also just look for like child's acrylics, which will tend to come a little bit more in like this sort of size. Either way, it's all like super cheap. So there you go. Well, when compared to GW. Right, apart from that, we got these two here. In my esteemed opinion, these look identical enough. The bases will end up looking different purely because this is, has a colour on it, but I actually don't care about the particular hue of a base. I'm now going to show you how to dry brush them, which is going to take some stuff. But just first, you might look at these and say, this isn't what I want. I would let you know this is a super flexible technique. I'm doing this because I want my guys to end up with bone colour armour. This was done this way. No, it wasn't. It was done this way, sorry. But it's the same thing. The reason I show this one is because it was on like the front page of Warcom. Ignore that. But it can also look like this and this. And these are just my few finished models. All the bone armour is done exactly this way. So I want to show you how that's done very quickly because it's super quick and simple. The reason I'm showing you this way is because, yes, we're doing kill teams. So you could easily just do everything by brush. We're all hobbyists here. If you play the game, you have to be a hobbyist at some point, unfortunately. And so you might want to figure out how to do things by bulk. So this gives such an identical view, like impression as this. There you go. But just to show you, so that's them. I've already gone and dry brushed my new Angels of Death team. And that's what they end up looking like. There you go. So super simple, super easy. All I'm doing here is taking this. These were all done this way. They were all sprayed. I quickly just did a black edge on them. We all have a black rim job, obviously. And then I've given them a dry brush. This is what I call my bone armour. My bone armour recipe, formula, technique, whatever you want to call it. It is super, super quick. Now you might wonder, why are all of my Marines bone coloured? It's because I'm lazy. just to be clear. To get that bone armour effect, you've seen it here, so there you go, that's what I'm aiming for. If you don't like that, you're not going to like what I'm about to do. Anyway, you want to take Wraithbone. Again, you can do this with any colour. I'm just going for bone, so that's why I do this. You give it a good shake. You're also going to need a dabbing station, which is just some roll I have lying around, and you're going to need a dry brush. The dry brush, medium size. You want it to be flat. So you see that? That is a flat dry brush. I don't have any other paintbrush near me, which says a lot. But you don't want it to be circular generally. You want it, you're going to be going for a certain stroke on it. The only thing you need to decide for yourself is, are you trying to get streaks or are you trying to have it be clean? When I'm doing this, I'm not trying to make it look white. I'm not trying to make it look bone. I want things to be streaky because it adds to a texture. When you're doing all of miniature painting, you want things to have a texture. I am not just trying to make it a smooth bone. If I wanted to make it a smooth bone, I would simply spray it Wraithbone and then I would do a pin wash. I wouldn't do this. With this, I'm doing it deliberately this way, as should you if you're following me. You should do it because you are trying to get a certain effect. If that effect is clean armour, don't do it this way, do a pin wash. Right, this is dry brushing. It is super cool, very effective technique, okay? You load up your brush, doesn't matter how much, how little, whatever, okay? So you've got some on it and you rub off almost all of it. We all love to rub off, okay? There you go. I have some amount left, luckily, because I want it to have a little bit of a texture and effect. I don't really care. This is called dry brushing, okay? But despite that, you don't really want your brush to be particularly dry. Yeah, that's for other people to talk about, because I don't know the ins and the outs of that. Don't know why, but there you go. And in general, you want to always be pulling down with your, or at least in the same way, I guess, which could be down, I guess. With your brush, you don't really want to do crisscross hatches. There you go, that's the model done. Cool. They come out looking, I would say, pretty damn similar. Right, with that said, what's the next step? Well, I guess we're doing the base, because honestly, that's how I process my models. As you can see here, I always do the base next. The reason for that is because once you've got this color, which gives you a sense of depth and shadow, doing the base is literally the best thing you can do, as it makes it look like a complete model. So here's another hobby hack, where you're going to use a Sharpie marker. I do this as the next step because, and there is a reason for this, I'm not just lazy, because what I really like here is that it instantly provides you something, and I actually use this Sharpie pen as being the first layer. I will go back once the whole model's finished and do another layer with an actual paint. I just use Sharpie to tone down anything beneath it. So, for example, on this really bright white rim that we have there, if I just did my contrast black Legion straight over the top of it, it would end up looking relatively streaky. So I would end up having to do multiple layers, and it takes ages to dry, etc., etc. But with this, it goes on super quick, nice. I don't really care whether it's streaky or not. It's obviously permanent marker, so it will dry nice and permanently. And then the final thing at the end of the model will be a proper rim job with an actual black paint. But for now, it just lets it look like, hey, it's another step on the way forwards. Okay, and let's go ahead and do this. So, you can tell I've already done this guy. I literally just did it. So you can see he's chilling, he's vibing, he's wet and ready. We're then doing his Basilicanum Grey. I've just taken a normal wash brush and I've just smashed the whole thing. I'm actually going to prefer how the other base comes out, because I quite like the fact that the Seraphim CPU wash is going to naturally give it a little bit more kind of depth and splotchiness to it. As I said, if you're trying to do things quickly, one of the best things you can do is provide texture for the eye to be drawn to and for the paint to kind of work with. This has a little bit less texture to it because it has no other colours, but it is what it is, it's fine. So as you can tell, I'm just going ahead and doing all of this, and this is just a quick, super easy way to go ahead and get a base done so that us lazy hobbyists can get right back to the table and get gaming. Those are bases done. Now, if you legit hate painting, you can stop here. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have a genuinely finished model. I would again recommend you go ahead and at the very least paint their weapons black, but that's it. Those are 2 finished models which took me, gosh, no time at all. That's kind of my lazy way to start painting the models. From here, look, I'm not going to teach you anything. You've seen everything. All I'm going to do is take a contrast paint and apply it in a single coat to the rest of the model until I'm happy with it. There you go. I would say what you want to do is, you see, pouches are brilliant. Paint all the pouches you have. Paint all the little grenades. And if all you've got is what I've got here, which is coloured armour, a painted pouch, a painted grenade, and black weapons, honestly, your models are going to look great. They're not going to win any awards, but they will legit look like you've put effort and time in. Having little spot details, we call them, on models really makes them stand out and look like more time has been spent than it really has, especially when it's literally, 3 seconds with a single coat from your contrast paint, okay? Anyway, if you made it to the end of the video, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. This is not my normal type of video. I don't normally do hobby stuff. The reason I did this is because I had just purchased that Blades of Cain box for the first time, and so I was actually seeing everything for the first time, and it occurred to me that, you know, I get a lot of my Kill Team content is either really long form rambly, and so people don't watch the video, they just listen to it, or it's very kind of beginner focused, and so naturally my content tends to draw in either true beginners or people coming over from 40k, but either way beginners in Kill Team, or aged veterans that just want a good podcast style ramble, and there's very little in between. So hopefully this has been a good one for the beginners to watch and see what you can expect from your first ever box of Kill Team, as opposed to a big Hivestorm box or a quarterly box or the starter box. Just if you just want that minimum experience of a single box of Kill Team, what do you get? And obviously the old veterans have just smashed this on and enjoyed hearing somebody talk about hobby, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching till the end of the video. You are cool if you've done that. If you haven't, shame on you, but you're not here. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.